Welcome back to our channel, where we love nothing more than sitting down with a warm cup of coffee to talk about the latest drama in Port Charles. Today is a beautiful, bright day to dive into some deeply emotional family matters that have been tugging at all of our heartstrings. Pull up a chair and make yourself comfortable because we have so much to unpack. I have to tell you, my heart has been incredibly heavy watching the recent events unfold on our screens. We have all been following these families for years, and we know that Port Charles is no stranger to tragedy, heartbreak, and bitter feuds. But right now, the situation surrounding young Scout is just tearing me apart. When I look at Drew Kane lately, I honestly find myself wondering what happened to the man we used to root for. He used to be a pillar of strength, a man who understood the value of family and connection. Yet, here we are, watching him actively isolate his 15-year-old daughter from the people who love her most. It is so painful to witness a father, driven by his own stubbornness and perhaps his own unresolved grief, building a wall around his child. Scout is at such a tender, vulnerable age, and seeing her cut off from her support system is incredibly difficult to watch. What really upsets me the most is how Drew is keeping Scout away from her brother Danny. Family is everything, and the bond between siblings is one of the most sacred relationships a person can have in this life. These kids have already been through so much turmoil, and they need each other now more than ever. I think about how much comfort they could bring to one another if they were just allowed to sit together, talk, and share their feelings. Instead, Drew is playing gatekeeper, and it feels so incredibly unfair to both of these children. Danny is missing his sister, and Scout is trapped in a situation where she feels completely unheard and unseen by her own father. It is a recipe for disaster, and I just know that if something does not change soon, Scout is going to rebel in a way that will break all of our hearts. But just when I thought this situation could not get any more complicated, the rumor mill started churning with a twist that left me absolutely speechless. Word on the street is that Jason Morgan might be preparing to launch a massive lawsuit against his own twin brother. Yes, you heard that right. Jason is reportedly considering taking Drew to court to fight for custody or at least significant guardianship rights over Scout. When I first heard this, I actually gasped out loud. The idea of these two brothers who share the same face but have walked such drastically different paths, going to war in a courtroom is nothing short of explosive. It is the kind of high-stakes family drama that keeps us glued to our televisions, but it also carries a deep emotional weight because we know how much damage a legal battle like this can cause. Now, let us be completely honest with each other for a moment. When we talk about Jason Morgan stepping up to be a father figure, there is a massive elephant in the room that we cannot ignore. I have read the comments from so many of you, and I completely agree with the skepticism. Jason has hardly been a model father to his own children over the years. For decades, we watched him choose his loyalty to Sonny Corinthos and the dangerous mob lifestyle over tucking his kids into bed at night. He has been absent. He has been dangerous. And he has missed out on so many crucial milestones. If he walks into a family court, you just know that Drew's lawyers are going to laugh him right out of the building. They will tear his character apart, bringing up every violent incident, every arrest, and every time he abandoned his family for the business. However, I also believe in the power of redemption, and I think we need to look at what Jason is doing right now. He is actively making the monumental decision to leave the criminal underworld behind. He and Sonny are trying to find a way out, and that is not something we can just brush off. For Jason, stepping away from the mob is like trying to change the course of a massive river. It takes immense strength and determination. I truly believe that his desire to file this lawsuit for Scout is his way of trying to make amends for the past. He knows he messed up with his own kids, and maybe, just maybe, he sees protecting Scout as his one chance to finally get it right. It is a beautiful, heartbreaking attempt at redemption, even if the odds are completely stacked against him. Even if Jason's heart is in the right place, the reality of a courtroom battle is cold and unforgiving. I can already picture the scenes in my head. The judge looking down from the bench, the lawyers pacing the floor, and Jason sitting there, having to listen to a laundry list of his greatest failures as a man and a father. It makes me wonder if Jason's lawsuit is actually going to be the main event, or if he is simply going to be the battering ram that breaks down the door for someone else. Because as much as Jason wants to help, there is another person in this story who has a much stronger, much more undeniable claim to those children, and she is someone who knows exactly how to fight and win. I am, of course, talking about the incredibly fierce and deeply grieving Alexis Davis. Oh, my heart simply aches for Alexis every time she is on screen lately. There is nothing in this world quite like a grandmother's love. It is a pure, unconditional, and fiercely protective kind of love. Watching Alexis be denied the right to see her own grandchildren, Scout and Danny, is absolutely agonizing. She is the matriarch, the surviving link to their mother, and she has always been such a vibrant, active part of their lives. To see her sidelined and shut out by Drew's controlling behavior is not just unfair, it feels cruel. I find myself talking to the television, telling Alexis to stand up and fight back, because we all know she has the fire inside her to take Drew down. And this is where the story gets so incredibly interesting, because as many of you brilliant viewers have pointed out, the law is actually on Alexis's side. I was reading through some fan comments the other day, and someone mentioned that the state of New York has very specific laws regarding grandparents' rights. They were absolutely spot on. When a parent passes away, the surviving parent cannot simply erase the loving grandparents from the children's lives. The law recognizes that children need that connection to their deceased parent's family. Alexis has every legal right to petition the court for visitation, and honestly, she might even have a case for partial custody if she can prove that Drew is causing emotional harm by isolating Scout. What absolutely baffles me, and what keeps me on the edge of my seat, is why Alexis has not filed the paperwork yet. She is a brilliant, powerhouse lawyer. She knows the legal system better than almost anyone in Port Charles. She knows how to build a case, how to argue in front of a judge, and how to win. I am just waiting for that glorious moment when she marches into the courthouse wearing one of her sharp professional suits and slams a stack of legal documents down on the desk. She does not need to ask for Drew's permission to see her grandchildren. She has the power to demand it through the courts, and I am praying that we get to see her unleash that legal fury very soon. Just imagine the absolute powerhouse alliance that could form between Jason Morgan and Alexis Davis. These are two people who have often been at odds over the years, completely different in their approaches to life. Jason is the quiet, brooding enforcer trying to find his humanity, and Alexis is the loud, passionate legal eagle. But right now, they are united by a common, heartbreaking goal: protecting these precious children. If Jason uses his resources to support Alexis, and Alexis uses her legal brilliance to champion their cause, they would be an unstoppable force. I would love nothing more than to see them sit down together, put their past differences aside, and map out a strategy to save Scout and Danny from Drew's suffocating grip. I also find myself worrying about what this impending legal war is going to do to Drew. If he chooses to dig his heels in and fight this in court, he is going to face a very ugly, very public battle. The court of public opinion in Port Charles will not be kind to a man who is keeping a grieving grandmother away from her grandchildren. But more importantly, what will this do to his relationship with Scout? She is 15. She is smart, observant, and she knows exactly what is going on. If she is forced to sit in a courtroom and watch her father try to destroy her uncle and her grandmother, it will break whatever fragile trust she still has in him. Drew thinks he is protecting her, but he is actually pushing her further away, perhaps permanently. At the end of the day, when all the legal maneuvering and family posturing is stripped away, this story is really about two children who are hurting. Scout and Danny have lost so much, and they are carrying a heavy burden of grief. They do not need to be treated like property in a bitter tug-of-war. They need stability, they need love, and they need to be surrounded by everyone who cares for them. My deepest hope as a viewer is that someone, whether it is Jason, Alexis, or even a judge, can finally make Drew open his eyes to the damage he is causing. These children deserve a village, a big, messy, loving family to help them heal. As this storyline continues to unfold, I know we are in for some incredibly emotional episodes. The tension is building, the battle lines are being drawn, and soon everyone in Port Charles is going to have to pick a side. Will Jason's attempt to leave the mob be enough to convince a judge that he is a worthy guardian? Will Alexis finally step into her power as a grandmother and a lawyer to claim her rights? And will Drew realize the error of his ways before he loses his daughter's heart forever? I do not have all the answers, but I can promise you that I will be watching every single moment with a box of tissues right beside me. It is stories like this that remind me why I have loved this show for so many years. They take these complex, deeply flawed characters and put them in situations that test their very souls. It makes us think about our own families, our own struggles, and the lengths we would go to protect the people we love. I am so eager to see where this journey takes us next, and I am so grateful to be able to share all of these thoughts and feelings with you. Thank you so much for joining me today, for listening to my passionate rambling, and for sharing this wonderful community with me. Until next time, take care of yourselves, hold your loved ones close, and keep watching